I'm on, and a little better late than never, I guess. So I had a good meeting, and actually, it looks like I'm gonna uh, at least put a dent in some of my financial problems with this. So that's great. I got some work done on the Capybara. Um, well, he's basically pinned at the bottom, and his eyes are just pinned on. But I haven't really decided where the placement of the eyes need to be yet. But that'll be tomorrow. And I got the arms on, and they are nice and posable. The lining still needs to be attached, but he just sits there on my belly, on my arm as I go through the convention. If I want to have his arms up, oops, he can put his arm out or can be pinned down. They're pretty stiff and hard to do, but basically she'll be able to pin them however she wants or pose them however she wants. And the fingers are all posable too. And I did web the fingers. Let me see, I put the webbing in there. So anyway, I made some progress on it. Oh, it still needs a tongue. But anyway, I'm going to make the legs right now. And the legs will be done basically the same way. I'm kind of short. Oh, the legs. Come on. Legs will basically be done the same way as I did the arms. Oh, what's this? Let me fix that. Again, this is what I get for using a bunch of phones. Okay. Oh. Again, with this type of professionalism, I'm sure you're just okay. There we go. Okay, so I want to make arms kind of the same way I made the other arms. Or make legs kind of the same way I made the other arms. But let me get a piece of paper. Basically, the idea is these legs are going to look. Get the. They're basically going to be haunches. So it's going to be like that. So it's going to be like that with a couple of toes. So I'm going to, it says on here that there are 3 toes on the back feet and 4 on the front. However, the puppet that I made has 3 on the front. So I'm wondering if I should make 2 on the back. I probably just put 3 on the back and not worry about it. So the pieces I want is I want one piece that looks like that. And then I want another piece that looks like that. But the inside structure is going to have a knee and then a leg and then the 3 toes. So I want to make a piece of wire that goes like this. And then I'm going to make a big kind of foam oval kind of shape, which would be this. And then I will hand sew the join, which is down here with the structure inside. So let's make the structure. I had every intention of being on at like 6:30, but I got busy. Hi, Tilly. Yeah, this wire might be a little too much for this armature, but it's okay. It doesn't have to do much, so. And I'm gonna film some tutorials tonight, so hopefully I can get those some patterns up tomorrow, which would be great. The patterns are ready. I just haven't done any instructions on how to build it yet, and I think probably the easiest way is for me just to demonstrate how to do it, and then make a quick video that you can get to from a QR code or something. So that's kind of my idea. How long is this thing? Inches, so that'll be 15 and a half. I should use that tool that I showed the other day, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Although it has to be more perfect than this. This is terrible. I'm not sure this is going to be long enough. Okay, let me see what I'm going to do here. At least all these mistakes, nobody's watching me. Well, heck, let's start over. Let's see what I'm doing here. That's a lot of work for how much? Nothing. It's always like the first one goes great, and the second one is all messed up. good enough. They're not exactly the same, but they're close enough. Oh, hi TC. How's it going? Sorry I got on late tonight. I've been really trying to hit that schedule, but oh well. When a client asked to reschedule, I want to oblige them as best I can. Are you working on an anteater or is that somebody else? Okay, yeah, it's mine. I had to take a few steps back to include a mouth on the build today. So are you doing it? Are you doing it so the arm goes all the way down into the snout, or how'd you figure that one out for the anteater mouth? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, so I don't know if you've seen the Folk Manus elephant, but they have kind of a cool mechanism in that I would I would think would be at least to see how that one goes together in order to form the way I would build something like that. Yeah, I'd love to see pictures of it. Yeah, that's all part of the whole design process is figuring out how mechs are going to go into something like that. Yeah, but see, as you do it, and we can all critique it. Tell us how we would do it. I'm just teasing you. You do great work. I'm going to be happy to be done with this one because I mean, it's been a pretty easy build, but I'm kind of getting to the point where I'd like to work on something else. I think some people don't like to learn as much as they just like to be a know-it-all. No, I think that again, the biggest stumbling block to a lot of people building is just getting started. I mean, so much of this is just figuring stuff out and not accepting the fact that there's no one way to do anything. And I think that that's lacking in a lot of people's builds is that they want to do it right the first time and they don't want to do the work. And you've done the work. Both of you have done the work. See, I should have done all four of these legs at this, all the legs and the arms at the same time, but I wasn't 100% sure the arms were going to work. So that's why I get to do it all over again. One leg. Okay, Dave Baker. Oh wait, we got another one. We got a couple things. TC, my build is a surprise for a music teacher friend of mine, so I've not been doing any photos so far. She wanted me to turn a stuffed animal into a puppet, but no, my crazy brain says let's build a puppet from scratch. Yeah, that's often the better way to go. I'm right there with you. Usually you end up doing so much more work just to adapt something than just building it the correct way that you might as well do it from scratch. I had one of those Eden or applause. I think it was Eden. No, it was applause. Gonzos that I tried to adapt into a puppet, and I got pretty far on it. I ended up losing it in a move. I had the clothes, I had everything. Only thing I didn't have was the actual puppet that I had kind of gotten together. But in all honesty, the best thing about that build was losing it because it was such a sorry mess. So glad I cut two of those because I cut them both wrong. Oh, okay. Dave Baker coming across. Coming across as a know-it-all is a problem I always face. I realize that there are millions of ways to do things, but I love to share tips and tricks, and it helped me out. And I wish more people would share theirs. Yeah, I feel like I almost got into a little bit of a shouting match with somebody on the Muppet Makers forum about how Oscar the Grouch came to be, and I was just like trying to help them make a better puppet, and really I should have just shut up. But you know what? It's it's better to share when you can. I do love, so TC says, I do love the fact that everyone has their own style and building desires. We do tend to be our worst critics sometimes. Dave says, I had some pretty good luck adapting several stuffed toys into puppets. Yeah, I mean, it's a great way to learn. I mean, probably the earliest instruction I had on how to build puppets was there's a show, and actually I'm not really a friend of his, but I know him online. There was this guy, Mark Kistler, that used to do this show called The Secret City, which was a drawing show. And on one of the episodes, they had how to build puppets, was one of the things. And the way they did it was they took a block of foam and slid it down one side and then folded it over and then put your hands in. You could make a puppet like this. And the earliest puppets that I did had that kind of inside mouth plate. But I mean, again, the biggest hurdle is actually getting started. And there's this tendency to want to do it perfectly, and I try to put the kibosh on that as fast as I can. Especially when you're doing replicas. I mean, you're never going to make it look like every single, version of Kermit that's ever been made, or every Gonzo or whatever. You just got to pick what you like and do it the best you can. That's why making original characters is so much easier in a lot of ways, is because you don't have to compare it. You don't have anything to compare it to, unless you can't get the mouth to open. Dave says it's really tough to gauge people's experience level and openness to shared info, even when they ask a question. What I hate are the people who have clearly never made anything giving advice. Like somebody says something like, how would you do this? And then they're like, oh, well, you do this, this, and this, and then you try it, and you're like, yeah, there's no way this is going to work. I mean, I don't know. Whenever I try to problem solve something and I don't actually have the experience, I always try to say something like, if I were to make this, this is the way I would approach it. Take it with a grain of salt. There was a tendency of people to early on tell me, oh, well, you do this and this and this. And, there was one guy that just pretty much said everything would, make everything at L200. That's the way to do it. That's not the way to do it. It works sometimes, but it's not the end all be all. L200 is probably the hardest thing to work with. But if you need more structure, it's something to use. I'm very opinionated. Maybe I'll give you something to look at. Is there a term? Wait, did I skip one? Dave Baker, trying to put a visual image we have in our mind into words without giving an exhaustive explanation is really challenging. I agree. I tend to draw little diagrams if I can. I'm kind of well suited to be able to do that, I guess. But usually if I can draw it, I can usually visualize how to build it or whatever. But it's not always the easiest for people to do. Is there a term for a puppet with the armhole in the center of the puppet? Um, my build has legs and a head and a tail, so I chose to do an armhole through the belly. I don't know. I don't know. That's an interesting question. It may be. I don't know, because I know there's not really a different name for, like, if you have it in the head, like if you do have a hole in the back of the head as opposed to going up through the mouth, or up through the body. I don't know that there's another term for that style over, say, the traditional Muppet style. It's whatever works. If not, patent it. That's where you make your real money. Suing puppeteers that are using one of your intellectual properties. By the way, if you guys use two different color pens when you're making patterns, I'm gonna have to sue you guys. I'm kidding. Yeah, maybe that would work. I always try to give credit where I got the idea, or how I was led down the path that I am working on, the way I work. Because I think it's important for people not only to get credit, but also, to realize that they don't have to follow the way people do stuff exactly. They can kind of pave their own way as they learn more. I should be less critical of other people's way of doing it, though. I mean, not critical, but like, I prefer to, you guys have seen the way I build. Um, I do it make a prototype out of foam and kind of figure my way through that. I've never done the clay pulling a pattern, and I really should, because I know a lot of people work that way, and I mean, it probably is better in some ways, but I don't know. Should at least do it once so I can then say, "Oh, you guys are idiots." Yeah. Yeah, I was telling somebody the other day that I was a tenionaire. Yeah, exactly. I like that too. It's amazing how that concept it hasn't necessarily occurred to everybody yet. Like, there are a lot of builders out there that don't they know one way, and they're limited to just doing it that way. Like a lot of people who just want to make Muppets. I mean, that's fine, but I've gotten very into, making the Mr. Rogers style puppet, the glove puppet. I'm getting a little bit into rods and marionettes. So, it's I'm gonna have 2 feet that are completely different shapes. I better fix that up. I'll show you what I'm doing here. I made 1 foot that turned out this shape. Made 1 foot that looks this shape, and then the other foot is that shape. So I've got to make it smaller. Yeah, you know, I've heard that too about my stuff. Is that I have a very like cartoony style to the way that I build, which you know, it's good. I also know that like I have a style to the way I draw too, which is you know, big eyes. Oh, I messed it up. Well, back to the old drawing board. Well, that's fine. Better now than after I put it all together. Yeah, yeah, it could be. Honestly, I was a little afraid it was going to look too much like the character that you know, the hamster character that I always have drawn and built. But I think it after I put the arms on and the eyes and the nose, I think it has its own look, which is good. I've seen other puppets she uses, and it'll be a good addition to those. Thank you. Yeah, when I designed for BJ and really any other person uh, builder, um, they always make the eyes smaller than what I draw them. Like, oh, it looks good, but can we make the eyes smaller? So when I build, I always try and make them as the same size that I draw them. Yeah, the next I picked up a couple more commissions, so I'm not sure I can broadcast them, but I'll start working on a personal project if I can't. That I'll do in the evenings to so I can keep this live streaming going. Yeah, I don't know if I can make those eyes anymore. I was lucky with those eyes because um, BJ had this rigid foam that I could make the buck out of. And then he also had access to Legacy's giant vacuum former that we could make them off of. Oh, let me. So I was able to make, I think, 6 of them. And I've used, oh, maybe only 4 of them. I've used all but 1 of them or 2 of them. So I don't know what I'm going to do when I run out of those. I still have the blank or the buck, but I'm going to have to figure out a place to do them. I'll run off a bunch of them and sell them. You know what I was thinking about building the other day, and I may do it because I'd like to have this in my house. I've been thinking about maybe making a Bullwinkle head that I can mount on the wall. Like a trophy. That occurred to me that would be some interesting shapes to do. Yeah, I'd have to learn how to do it again. This is, I'm sure if I went over to Atlas Foam, they could identify the rigid foam that I was using. And then from there, I know a guy who has a giant vacuum former that I could probably use to make some more. We're sad for the squirrel. Well, I actually have what they call the Snoopy cap, which is what the aviators have. I have one of those, so I could make both of them and put them up on the wall. I mean, nobody but me would know what they were. But Gordon Smuter does a lot of those mounted head monster things, and it kind of be that idea. But like I had so much fun making Rosie the Robot, and it got me thinking about other animated things that would be fun to make. And I don't know, it appeals to me. Yeah, nothing up my sleeve. Looks like a 7.5. But the thing about the thing that appeals to me about that idea is that I could I could just make a really detailed head and not have to worry about making all the rest of them. That would be an unruly puppet. Although a Bullwinkle puppet would be fun too. For all those opportunities that come up to do Bullwinkle. Of course, I could. What I really should do, and I learned this with Zoidberg, was I should really only do characters that I can do halfway decent impersonations of. So that way, when people ask me to do it after I built it, I can say, "Oh yeah, I can do such and such." I was shocked when I built. Did I just break another one? Did I grab the wrong one? Oh. Okay. I did. I broke another one. Now we're gonna make it work. So what she had was what was the guy's name? It was her mentor who taught her how to use the golf balls and all that. What was his name? I think he died of lung cancer as well. Anyway, he made a couple of. That's what we're up on her wall was were those. I can't remember his name. What I really should do is buy stock in these tiny little zip ties after I've shown my secret to everybody. All right, there's our legs. I'll do Charlie Chaplin. Okay. What is his name? Was it something Allison? I'm not sure. He did. What was the name of his puppet company? Because when I first started doing puppets on, looking online for puppet stuff, there was nothing except this one guy that had a couple of pages about how he shot stuff and how to position a camera, stuff like that, and showed off his puppets. I can't remember his name, and that was who I'm talking about. That was the guy that built the puppets that Stacy had. You like my pat? Oh. You like to be able to see my pattern? See, as you can tell, I'm quite the artist. It'll come to me at like 3 a.m. Yeah, that's it. Is that's who it is? That's exactly right. How in the world did you pull that out? Nick Barone is who we're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, he used to have a website. What was the name of his company? Was it like Arm's Length? Is that right? Okay, so that's going to be that pattern. And then that pattern, we'll have that on it. Oh, wow. Yeah, his website was the one that I learned how to set up the camera in order to um, make it so the puppet. So you set the camera so it's tipped up a little bit, so that way you can look right down the barrel of the camera. And that was his website was the one that showed me how to do that. Okay, so that's that. I haven't forgotten you. I'm just cleaning up a little bit. Tell you what, I gotta get some more commissions because I'm starting to run out of supplies. Well, probably. I mean, guy, he passed away how long ago? Or maybe I'll put this on camera. Wow. Yeah, maybe 10 years without paying your website catches up to you. Or actually, he probably had about 10 years of. It used to be that you could register domains for up to 10 years. That's probably what happened. Yeah, I always do Melonpool for 10 years. And I always used to say that I was going to do a bunch of comics. I should do this anyway. I would do a bunch of comics and put them up, um, like 10 years down the line. And then if I don't, if it's like a dead man switch, like 10 years from now, they'll go out to all my subscribers. And the name of the comics would be Comics from Beyond the Grave. Just to give like a sense of closure to all those people who used to read my comic. I need to, like, I got a notice from Patreon the other day saying that my old Patreon for Melonpool was going to be grandfathered in under the old pricing plan. And I have like 4 subscribers. I really should convert that over to Puppet Troop so that I can take advantage of that. I feel bad for those 4 people that subscribe to my comic I never update. I'm probably going to be like 2 inches too short as far as how much foam I have for this. Ouch. I am going to glue this outside though. It's a nice night and I don't feel like putting on a respirator. But I'll cut everything out. Oh, and I got rid of my sign. There's a moment of truth. Just enough. Look at that. What's the date? 19th. Okay. Oh, that explains it. That knife was rolling around and I had wire and zip tie ends underneath it. How do I store my patterns? Okay, so this is the way I do it. I take a file folder and I tape it along the edge, and then I have the name of it up on the tab here. And then I have a filing cabinet that I have it sorted by like animal. This was Ben Franklin's, so I have human characters. Then I have the melon pool characters. Then I have dogs in a subfolder of animals, and I have a whole Star Wars one. I have one for robots, and it's basically kind of haphazard. If I do something for clients, I have a different color one that I put it in. So really, there's no method to my madness. The biggest thing is just to keep everything labeled and keep everything um, together. And I have a couple of patterns that I didn't label, and I have no idea what they go for. So if the pattern is big enough that I can repurpose it as a different pattern, I will, or I'll put it kind of in a miscellaneous one. And if I come across when I'm rebuilding, I do very little rebuilding. A lot of times I'll modify an old pattern, unless it's the melonful ones, and then I do rebuild it. I'm probably going to rebuild Eddie coming up, so I'll go through that, and he's probably going to look drastically different if I do it. Because one of the things about Eddie is you have to puppeteer it like this, and I'm starting to get arthritis in this finger, so I kind of want to make it so that his mouth palette's a little bit farther back, so that I can just do it in standard. But that'll affect his look. Maybe I should just make a new dog, but I like Eddie. It's kind of my go-to. I'm wondering how Swazzle organizes and stores a huge quantity of patterns. I wonder how many patterns they actually have. BJ had a four drawer filing cabinet full of patterns for every crank yanker, pretty much everything he had done. I don't think he had them in file folders. He would just safety pin them all together. All his patterns had a hole punched in it so that he could just safety pin them together, and he just kind of had them in a stack, and then by project he'd have them in a whatchamacallit, a manila folder of some kind. I have a bunch of them that are in Ziploc bags, and I thought at the time it would be great because then I could see what was inside of it, and I could still label it and everything. But I have gotten away from that because they slide around so much that they end up sliding out of the folders I have them in, and I don't like that. So eventually I'll get them all transferred over into the system I have now. I'll tell you what, though. Here, I'll let you guys in on a little secret here. Just a second. I gotta get some. I'm still here. Just a second. All right, so this filing cabinet that I have over here is full of my patterns. The top drawer is full of my patterns. This is approximately a fifth of the Melon Pool originals that I did during the 12 years I was doing my comic strip. And storing these are the bane of my existence. I don't know what I'm going to do with them. I always think like, when I drop dead, what's going to happen? What's going to happen to all these comics? But I have virtually every comic that I've ever drawn for Melon Pool in these things, and they take up basically 4 feet of my closet, and this is not including the Sundays. The Sundays are huge, like this big. So between the two, patterns for my puppets are much easier to store. Ugh. Here, I'll show you the Sundays just 1 second. So this is the 5th volume of these. Oops. Here, let me put it out as far as possible here. Yeah. Come on. Oh. This is why you really tune in, to see me try and focus my camera. Okay. So these are years and years of comics. So some of them I would reuse panels. I can't remember what I did with this one. Oh, no, the gag for this one is that I stopped inking, and so it's just I got bored, and the new Indiana Jones movies had come out. But, for the most part, these are all hand-drawn, hand-inked, hand-penciled, hand-lettered. I changed the format here. But, yeah, this is my legacy. This is what they're going to find next to my partially devoured body and fat Tilly sitting on the ground next to it. But anyway, yeah. I have 8 of these things. Yeah. I always tell people I used to be somebody. When I used to get those out and show them to people or have them at conventions and whatnot, my friends would always say, available in the gift shop. That's true. That's true. Tilly would have to gum me for days. So the biggest difference between the feet, at least for me, in the feet and the hands, the way that I put those together, is that I'm not going to be able to sew the fur to the brown fabric before I put this thing together. I'm going to have to join them at the ankle because the fur, the foot goes this way and the leg goes this way. So the only way to do this is to hand sew that part. But I probably should have done that on the other too, but I'm trying to be lazy. Yeah, I used to lug all those out to Comic-Con, let people go through them and try and sell them for like $40 a piece, and the Sundays for like 80. And yeah, over the years I've sold. I think I figured out I did over 2,000 of those things, all told, and I think I maybe have sold 100 of them. So many of them are, they're not really standalone gags. I mean, they're part of a big story. So I can kind of understand why they didn't sell, like, say, some of the other comics did, other people I knew drew. But I also did a lot more handwork than a lot of people did. I didn't use a font. I actually inked with a brush, which I always thought was kind of cool. I'm going to do that on one of these feeds one night. I'm going to draw some Melonpool comics or draw something and show you guys how I ink with a brush. Oh, hi, Allison. I was thinking Cappy have really long feet. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the way this foot is, here we go again. If you look at the way the feet are, they are really long. So that's why I'm doing it this way. Yeah, Allison does great work. Okay, so here's where we're at. Maybe this camera. Okay, so and that, and then this will go on there like that with a hole in it. Actually, maybe I'll cut that hole now. Okay, so there's that, then that, then this, actually. And this. And then I'll probably put some stuffing in the haunch as well. But that's basically the foot. So I'm gonna go outside and glue this, and then tomorrow I'll be on at about 5 o'clock, and hopefully be able to finish all this up. And then all that's left to do is the tongue and the eyes, and the eyes are basically done. I just have to. I want the person who's buying it wants to place the eyes. She wants to be on Zoom when I place them. So that'll probably be the last step, and then it gets shipped off. So anyway, thank you for joining me at this late one. That looks perfect, Steve. Thank you, Dave. Yeah, it'll look pretty good on there. I think it's about the right size. Not that you can see it. She can pose it like so. Yeah, I think that'll look good. Oh, I still got to sew up the bottom too, but all righty. Okay, I'm gonna get going, but thanks for joining me tonight. And again, if you haven't already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, puppettroop.com, or I mean, sorry, Puppet Troop. You can go to puppettroop.com, but Puppet Troop 1 on YouTube. It really helped me out. Okay, thank you. Bye. Wait, let me see. Wait 1 second. What's the question? Your lip sync is getting off. I wonder if your computer is starting to overheat. Yes, it is. All right.